I am from Morrill Hall, but we have some guests that may not know what Morrill Hall is. So the image that you see up above on the screen is the front of the Natural History Museum here on campus. We're right down from the stadium with the big bronze elephant out in front. And we really are spreading the word. We're trying to incorporate a lot of STEM, and we add the STEAM because we have art included with a lot of things. And we really are a perfect platform to spread the word of science and technology and engineering. So basically what I'm doing today is to just show you a little bit about what we do and how we've done a lot of collaboration. So we are, like I said, the Natural History Museum for the state of Nebraska. So we have a great record of who was here, what was here in the past and the present. We have a complete research division with a list of the different departments, and Morrill Hall itself is filled with exhibits, a planetarium, and a great hands-on center. But we also have sister museums, which sometimes people really aren't aware of. So Asheville, which is a present modern-day active dig site, which is up north of Norfolk, for those of you who know the state. And then we're clear out west at Trailside Museum at the Fort Robb State Park. So we really are more than just here in Lincoln, right down from the stadium. This is an old image. I love it, though. There's no trees, and there's a bunch of buses. But now that we're under construction, the buses, it's a little bit different right now for those of you who have traveled by the CBA construction. But since I'm in charge of education, and we're talking about education of and communication, that's kind of what we're here to talk about today, because what our goal is to figure out how do we help visitors investigate the exhibits, how do we get them to observe, question, and keep that sense of wonder. So we have come a long way, baby. Uh-oh, not far enough to get the clicker to work. I don't know how many of you in this audience remember that lead, and it was, I think, a cigarette commercial a long time ago about a woman with a Virginia Slim. And see, I'm talking to people that have no idea what I'm talking about. But I still like the caption, because if you look back in the 50s, it was total guided tours here and there. This is, that is, whatever. Well, yeah, okay, fine. That's what we did then. But we've gone a long turnaround and a long way, because now we do a lot of inquiry, hands-on learning. We put our little kiddos in the form of a scientist. They're there with a clipboard. They're doing investigations. We do have a contract with Lincoln Public Schools. We see all 3rd and 5th graders. We've had that contract for over 30 years, so we must be doing something correct. We work really hard, and James left. He said he was going to miss my presentation, but we work really hard with the science coordinator and the teachers. We're current on what they're teaching. We make sure we match and extend what they're doing in the classroom. So that's really kind of what we do in education. And the cool thing is that we now have a brand new way to reach people all over the world, basically, because we've started virtual field trips. We're the first institution on campus to have virtual field trips. So that means you can walk down the halls of Morrill Hall in your classroom. And we're just starting this. This is a big start for us. We are just getting ready to advertise on a national clearinghouse network, so we do hope to be talking to Australia and China and other places besides the United States. And Nebraska, obviously, is really key for us. But this is a new thing for us, and we want to keep that feel of a field trip. So we want people to be able to walk down our halls and investigate that way. Numbers of dollars, time, all of that have really allowed the teachers to not have the funds or the time to come to Morrill Hall. So our numbers have depleted. They're going down, which is really it's unfortunate. We don't want the kids not to see the halls of Morrill. So this is one way to do it. So we're birthing a baby. I'll tell you, it's not easy, but it's a lot of fun. The good thing is that since there's so many young graduate students in here, I want to just tell you that we were approached by a postdoc who wanted to win a small grant, and she knew we were starting this program, so guess what? We worked together. She got her little grant, and we're developing Education Examine with an exclamation point. And we did that intentionally because we wanted it to matter. This matters. This is an important one. And those little images there are from the gallery that we're going to be using, and those are species we're going to be targeting. But it was because of the collaboration with that student who felt that was an important thing, and it's really just to pay for it. That's all it is, and help us develop it with the real science. We also have a great planetarium. These images show you some of the programming that can relate to our actual building. They do the whole spiel of the stars and the sky, but we have a full dome digital theater, and we've tried to incorporate more than just the sky. So we have a show that's on volcanoes, and we have one on sea monsters, and both of those topics relate to Ashfall, our satellite museum, and the sea monsters that are lying in the floor down the hall. The other thing we're trying to do is add a little bit more to the UNL audience. So this coming Sunday, not a week from today, we have a program on board on climate change and the scientist studies from a lot of sites in Antarctica. So Chasing the Ghost Particle is actually about Antarctica and all the physics that goes with the ice cube, which it's way above what I know, but it's amazing. But we're trying to tie that into the actual public show, as well as bringing the UNL audience in it, because the professors are bringing their classes. We also have just started a volunteer program. We have been able to use volunteers, but it's always been kind of who's around and as people have time to do it, but we actually got a little seed money and we have a coordinator. So we're starting a whole new program, which is exciting because that's really allowed us to expand our outreach. We're going to be at the Children's Museum. We're going to be doing the Sci-Pop, but it's all because we have somebody that can help go out there and find us some folks. We just have begun a UNL Student Ambassador Volunteer Program. Recruited for that last spring. They're going to be doing a lot of outreach for us this fall. And we also had a retired science teacher who came as a volunteer who was, looking for something to do. And he says, you should be doing more stuff on Saturday. Well, yeah, we should, but who's going to do it? Well, okay, I'm going to take that on. So we did. So we started another program called Investigated Science on Saturdays, a couple times, or once a month throughout the year, so that was a good thing for our calendar. So everything we promote is trying to interpret science to all ages, and this is kind of what I'm here about, is a little recruiting tool here, because you can help be a part of this too. And there's a lot of you, 40% of you grad students, just kind of keep thinking as we go. I'm going to show you some programs that came about. Sunday with the Scientist, you probably should be somewhat familiar with it because we do a pretty good media push for this. It's in its 6th year. It actually was a program that had been around a long time before. We kind of put it to bed for a decade, and that tells you how long I've been here, because that was a while ago. Anyway, it came back, and it's coming back with a vengeance because it's there every month. This is a good way for people to actually have good interaction with scientists on a one-to-one. A number of the people that are in this room have presented. Doug, I don't know how many times, 2 or 3, 4, well, lots. Eileen, the same. It's just, you get good people, you keep asking them to come back. But besides that, there's a really good platform. We have had our own scientists and our own departments have shared. That's not a big snowball there on that. It looks like it with the snow in the back. I didn't even think about that until I was looking at the slide. It's actually a tortoise. That's the shell that's in a big plaster cast that was brought in from the western part of the state by our highway salvage paleontologist, Shane Tucker, who's actually working on it. They are doing the prep work. It looked like a great big egg, but in this case, I guess with the snow in the background, it looks like the bottom of Frosty, I think. But anyway, we have, besides our own folks, who, we're limited in our people, there's a whole group of people in our community and our university that have great topics to share. And so we've had a really good time with that. And here's one right here. You might recognize this person. Eileen's going to do more to talk about this, but this is definitely one of our high points. It was one of the more well-attended Sunday with the Scientists, almost 1,000 people in just one afternoon. Natural Resources has partnered up with us with a lot of different programs over the years and a lot of different departments. Dennis brought his snakes down. We did when we had a Titanoboa, which was a temporary exhibit from the Smithsonian, and one of our scientists was one of the key players in that. We did an ancient and modern snake presentation, so that was well over 1,000 people in 3 hours, so that was a lot. So we had the live and then the monster snake in the middle of Elephant Hall. It was very well attended. Also, I want to tell you, and this is just to promote the Nature Palooza event from Natural Resources, actually began in Morrill Hall. We did an East meets West type of thing for three years, and we had Sunday, or it wasn't a Sunday with the Scientists, it was just an event that we had, and we had the Natural Resource folks down, and they presented. We also do a lot with engineering, nanoscience. I could go on and on and on with a number of different divisions and departments that we've used on campus. One of my favorite images was this teepee in the middle of Elephant Hall. It was pretty amazing. And then Roger was out on another archaeology thing. We were actually going to plant a tree out there. He says, I just want that hole. I just want the hole. So stop the tree planting. And so he's out there digging and showing kids what you can really find. I don't know how many kids went home and dug holes, but maybe, hopefully a bunch of them, I guess, right? There you go. So we also are branching out. Next year, I have psychology. I'm excited. I've never done anything with psychology, but we're doing brain stuff next year, so that's pretty exciting too. We have added and have done a number of classes for professional development for teachers, as well as classes for broader impacts. These were two of the parasitology classes that we taught with Scott Gardner, our ooh, time's up? Oh, almost, okay. What's really cool with the Gobi, we talked to the scientists in the desert over in Gobi. So they were ready to go to bed, obviously, when we were having class, but it was really fun. But through modern technology and satellite phones, we were able to talk about, what'd you find today, which was pretty awesome. We had taught classes with teachers, put them in vans, go out with geology and paleontology, Ollie here. And the biggest are some of our special events. Our astronaut, Nebraska astronaut, Clay Anderson, is very, very good to come back and do promotions with us. And this one that I'm going to leave with was Dinosaurs and Disasters, which is our big winter event. This was started by graduate students who came into the museum, saw actually my staff out on the floor with their carts with class saying, I want to be a cart pusher. How do I do it? And I go, oops, well, you know, those are real jobs, but let's talk about an event. So we did, and I gave them criteria. They came back. This was 11 years ago, and this event has turned into a big event. This was kind of a template for Eileen. So we will be doing 12 years this coming February of Dinosaurs and Disasters, and this is totally volunteer, run by students helping, getting those faculty. It's 20 to 30 different events all over Morrill Hall, and it's awesome. So I guess I will leave you with how can we work together, but how can you help spread the word? So questions? I probably went over my question.